The Wandering Earth is a 2019 Chinese sci-fi disaster film, based on the novel of the same name. In the film, humanity leaves the dying sun behind. Using impossibly powerful thrusters, Earth is taking its 2,000-year-long journey towards Alpha Centauri. It was a huge financial and critical success in China. While it is absolutely not an all-time classic, it is at least as good as Independence Day. But for the purpose of this episode, I want to point out one specific quality of the film. That despite its ludicrously Hollywood premise and effects, underneath, there is a deeply Chinese story. All good writers write about themselves. That's because the goal of a good writer is not to tell stories, but through stories, evoke certain emotions. And emotions are such personal things. By necessity, all good stories are drawn from the writer's personal experience. It's The Lord of the Rings and World War I, where the dead marshes were inspired by the Battle of Somme. By drawing from the writer's experience, no matter how fantastical the setting seems, Tolkien was able to make the dead marshes feel real, because the sense of dread was real, experienced by Tolkien firsthand. Similarly, in The Wandering Earth, to create a post-apocalyptic dystopian China, the filmmaker draws inspiration from the negative aspects of living in China, however trivial. For the setting alone, there are these wet and dark back alleys, complete with these LED store signs that are everywhere in China. And of course, its credit score and loans, a controversial branch of business operating in legal gray areas. The tacky red banner plastered with government slogans, the gambling, the girl dressed like a cheap nightclub bunny, and the pirated video games. These are all common elements of the Chinese underbelly. In reflection to the human condition, there is the classroom scene,
像钻石一样珍贵的东西。
reflecting on the heavily criticized performative education. The hostile and unsafe work environment, with worn-out equipment, tacky public service announcements that nobody takes seriously.
停车不规范，亲人两行泪。
Police corruption and misfeasance, where they take bribes in public and still don't do their jobs. The state of pornography is illegal in China, so good pornography circulates like currency, enough to be used for bribery. Every frame of this movie lives and breathes. It doesn't have to tell you how chaotic and lawless this world is. Through the iconography that the filmmaker draws from real life, the film evokes an emotion among viewers that feels real and grounded. Compare this to Lord, which was inspired by Fate Stay Night, or Aragon, inspired by Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. The world is nothing but cliché and exposition, because those films are trying to tell other people's stories, instead of telling the experience, their emotions. But that's just art direction. We need to go deeper, because the philosophy behind The Wandering Earth is also a Chinese one. Stories of humans leaving Earth behind due to catastrophe are not rare, but the mass exodus usually happens on a spaceship. I'm going to make a bold generalization here, but I think a lot of you will agree these movies draw the philosophy from Noah's Ark. In the West, when nature is destroyed, it's usually unstoppable, like the wrath of God. Humans live in God's creation, so when God's creation comes to an end, humanity is at God's mercy. In Chinese mythology, however, there is no such supreme being. Humans and gods alike obey the natural order, the Tao, if you will. So, in Chinese flood myths, the hole in the sky is patched up by a goddess. The flood from the Yellow River was contained and drained by human constructions over the course of 13 long years. The Chinese equivalent of the Icarus myth talks about a man chasing the sun and dies of thirst, but he leaves behind a peach forest as a water supply, so that future generations may continue the chase. In Chinese mythology, and thus philosophy, nature is malleable. It can be shaped, it can be conquered. It may take generations of effort, but it is possible and honorable to move the earth. In fact, The Wandering Earth is just a sci-fi retelling of a Chinese legend. It's a story about a foolish old man and his quest to dig through a pair of mountains, for the simple reason of them obstructing his home. When he is told that this is impossible, that he will never finish this within his lifetime, he says,
没事，我们还有孩子，孩子的孩子还有孩子，终有一天，饼一定会化成水的。
And with that, we can finally talk about the theme of The Wandering Earth, the core message that makes this story a Chinese story, the value of home. The question that every single Chinese kid asks when they first hear the mountain moving legend is, why don't they just move? And I only truly learned the answer after I grew up. In Chinese, the word for home and family is the same. The distinction between the two exists, but not to the same degree as in North American culture. In the West, we sometimes say, home is where the family is.
Asgard's not a place, it's a people.
China, however, doesn't share this view. With thousands of years of history rooted in agriculture, the land is just as much a family member as the people. Land is the witness of a continuous legacy, is the imprint of history. Thus, when you move, you leave the history behind. And that is unacceptable to the culture that, to this day, still practices ancestor worship. Later in the film, humanity faces a dilemma. We must choose between recreating human life from scratch on a foreign planet
领航员空间站冷藏了30万人类受精卵和1亿颗基础农作物的种子。
or risk everything trying to keep the earth in one piece. To Chinese culture, home is part of the civilization. It cannot be digitized, it cannot be restarted. It's the reason the foolish old man chooses not to move. It's the reason humanity didn't leave Earth on spaceships. Because even if we have to reshape nature, it's worth it for our home. Knowing all these is maybe what makes the film work for me. Characters make rash, emotional decisions like real humans. And all the decisions are made surrounding different concepts of home. A military team is failing the mission, and if carry on, some of them will likely die. So one of them sabotages the entire mission to keep the team together. When Earth's destruction seems imminent, some of us would give up hope and prefer to spend our last moments with our families. When the protagonist's young sister is falling to her death, her brother, without hesitation or even a plan, jumps to her. And the astronaut who sacrificed himself didn't really do it for the good of humanity, but for his son.
来，儿子。
I admit I'm very biased towards this film. Being an immigrant, I have been adrift and wandering since I was a teenager. So this film hits me on a personal level. But despite its shortcomings, the emotion behind The Wandering Earth rings true. The core message feels authentic. The fact that the film strives to be more than a blockbuster entertainment, that alone is a step above a lot of films.